Looks like we are live. How's everybody doing today? Hope everyone is having an amazing week. Memorial Day week and all of that. So we are going to start part one of the portrait, the fine art portrait in Airbrush. So this is going to be my approach, basically having to do with the science of light, all of that, and also the science of, drawing and the aspects of edges and all of that. And so that's really cool. So I'm very excited to show you part one. Part one is very, very important, so I hope a lot of people are on here. There are going to be some changes to the channel. I am going to basically, once the live stream is up, I'm going to keep it on my YouTube channel for about 24 hours. Then it's only going to be available at inkflingers.com or on my Patreon. So either one of those. So that's going to be pretty much just a little bit of a change. Just trying to be extra loyal to the extra loyal people that you all are. So, all right, so let's see who's here today. Let me check. Mr. Leahy and Patty, how are you? Mr. Leahy is out of Ohio. Patty is out of Illinois. So it's so cool. Let's see. Willie, how you doing all the way from New Hampshire? John, how's it going? John, how are you, sir? Just remind me, where are you from? And let's see who else. Hey, Zeus, how you doing? From Georgia, just got back from Chicago. So it's great to see you. And let's see who else. That's it. So it's pretty a small but proud group. That's what we are. It's not the quantity, but the quality. Right? Is that what they say? I think they say that. And who are they? I don't know. But I'm excited to start today. Let me see if I can pull up the picture I'm working from, which yours truly took it myself, and I was very blessed to have an amazing model pose for me. So let's see if I can get that to you. Let's see. So we are going to, oh, I gotta hit this plus sign here. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to go to image, and now I just have to find the image. Bear with me, my friends. It'll just be 2 shakes of a lamb's tail or something like that. I'm a city boy, so I haven't seen a lamb too often. Let's see. Got it. Okay, so we are going to be doing the portrait of Raquel, which is very, very exciting. And like I said, I took this photo, so it's much more personal for me, which is really good. And I'm able to really understand what happened the moment of the lighting situation, everything like that. I highly recommend you take your own references. It's really important. It's important to take that work to that next level, So let's see. Raul, how you doing? Good to see you. How's it going? And let's see. Okay. So we were running a little late, but that's okay because I think Coast was running late, so it was all good. So it worked out. You guys got to hear what Mr. Monning was saying. I'm sure I know he was talking about some really great stuff for automotive custom painters. So hats off to him. And, his Live at 5, I really think it's really wonderful for the airbrush community as a whole. So just a shout out to Mr. Dave Monning there. Good job, sir. Okay, now, what do? I have no idea. No, we are going to do something. So I'm just going to bring my picture in PureRef. If you haven't done PureRef, do it. Do it now. No, actually, PureRef is really fantastic. Highly recommend it. It definitely is a game changer. Anyone out there do PureRef? It is the best thing since sliced bread. And so I have my picture of Raquel here. And so we are cool. All right. So let's see. So Mr. Total Pain, John, how you doing? Good to see you. Let me put the kettle on for a sec. Making coffee today. Lots of work to do. All right, so we're going to use a light mixture, and we're going to be using the Omni 4000. And this, of course, is, oh my God, look at that. That's, I don't even know what backing that is. Oh my God. Okay, we're good. Let's see if we can. So this is my light mixture. It's available on inkflingers.com. And we're going to do our light mixture first. Go. Okay, there we go. Just going to go ahead, shake this up. Shake, shake, shake. So I hope everyone's having a great week so far. Good to see everybody. All right, so now I'm going to test this, right? Because I don't trust that everything is all hunky-dory. You know, whenever you use an airbrush for the first time during the day, you definitely want to test it out. Let me get a test paper. Is that a test paper? Smells like a test paper. Looks like a test paper. Okay, let's see. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Oh, that makes me happy. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I want to do the local color, which is the lights, right? Which would be the areas of her face which are facing the light most directly at the moment I took the photograph. So, see if I can get this as clear as possible. And so what I want to do is I just want to first is to tap the surface to get rid of any excess pencil lines. Or even furthermore, pencil lines that really won't do anything but give you a problem in the future, right? So you're sort of looking, you're saying, you know what? We're going to make sure that we circumvent the problem before it happens, right? What's the best defense? Not be there, right? Sun Tzu out of war. Every battle is won or lost before it's ever fought. And so, wow, is that kettle almost, that's crazy. I have the fastest kettle in the West. Of course, I'm in the East, so I'm not sure how that works. Let's see. Did I tell you guys that you're all great? I just want you to know that. You're great, and thank you for coming to my live stream. I just think you're all fantastic. And give yourselves a round of applause and all of that. And, you know, I would clap, but I'm painting, you know. So let me make me smaller, you know. There we go. And let's see. Hey, what's up, Patrick? Good to see you, my friend. Great job today. Patrick is one of my students, and we worked today, and we were working with the white pastel, and just want to say he was doing amazing, just amazing work. One of the biggest joys as a teacher is seeing my students shine. And I mean, that's really and a wonderful thing. Okay, so let's see. Ah, thank you so much, Jesus. I appreciate that. You're the best. For those who are wondering, Jesus rocks. Just had to say that. Okay, so what I do is I have my face only uncovered, right? I have Raquel's face only uncovered. So what I'm really looking at is just not going where the shadows are. I really hate saying shadows and light. Hey Todd, how you doing? No such thing as light and shade. There's light, different degrees of light. And so, thousands of years of the wrong verbiage or the wrong uh, labeling. So let's talk about that, right? Light and shade. That's to say that this area is not light, but it is light because light is bouncing around and is still hitting underneath her hat. So it's not completely black. If it's completely black, then it's the absence of light. Am I right? So, we've been lied to all these years. There's no such thing as light and shade. There's light, different degrees of light. Now, there are shadows, right? Cast shadows, stuff like that. Uh, but still, if you really think about it, it's really different degrees of light. And that's what's really important to understand. When you're thinking about it as light bouncing around, then you're thinking like a scientist, not just like an artist. You have to sort of walk the tightrope of being a scientist and an artist at the same time. Now, that's either my kettle going on or, you know, I don't know what is, but I'll be right there. Don't go away. So as you can see, the white mixture is happening. This, by the way, is a great coffee, chock full of nuts. They have it in the East Coast. Now they call it chock full of nuts because back, like in the 30s and 40s, they used to sell nuts and bolts. Or was that peanuts? I'm not sure. Now, isn't this quality entertainment? Ow. That is great. Nothing like having a cup of coffee in an ink flinger's mug, I'll tell you. That's really good. So I think there's like 4 people left. Hopefully more. Mike S., how you doing? Good to see you. Blue, how are you? Who else came here? Wow, so I should leave again because there's more people here in my absence. That's funny, but sad. Okay, good to see everybody. Let's see, we got Mike S. and Blue. So, and of course I said hello to Todd all the way from San Diego. Todd, you're the best. Good to see you, man. How you feeling? Last time you weren't feeling so good, so well. Okay, so we're going to continue with this right here. And like I said, we're painting the local color that is lighter than the paper. And I don't know if any of you out there know about bas-reliefs, where it's a shallow sculpture. And they did that a lot in the 1400s, Donatello, and then also Michelangelo did it. So they were called bas-reliefs, B-A-S relief, and it's a shallow sculpture. Very interesting. So when I'm doing these in the beginning, I'm thinking of that bas-relief, right? I'm making a sculpture, but very shallow. And I'm not even worried about the neck. I'm just worrying about the lights, and then I can come in. So I'm about maybe 3 inches from the paper. Now notice I'm not doing any highlights, right? I'm kind of, highlights come much later. I will paint where the highlights are, but they won't have that intensity. Now why? Because you want to build up. So think of the painting when you're working. You want to achieve probably like an 18% gray. So that's my whole goal in the first maybe 3-4 weeks, is to get an 18% gray. And that means from there I can build a texture, and then I can go darker and then lighter. So it's very interesting the way that my work has evolved over the years. Hey Brad, how you doing? Good to see you, sir. Okay, so I think we be good. Let's see. All right, so that's this. I'm going to go ahead and put this away, park it, so to speak, and then I'll come back with your favorite airbrush and mine, the Extreme Patriot Arrow, customized by myself. I call it the Micron Killer, the Takumi Killer, because you know what? For $149, it will destroy it. It will destroy it. Destroy it, destroy it, destroy it. Did I say that my airbrush would destroy the Takumi? Ooh, I did say that. You know why? Because it's absolutely true. That's exactly it. So now, look at this baby. Beautiful little airbrush. I don't use much except when I'm doing like specific things where I need a large nozzle to like white, stuff like that. That's about it. So let's go ahead and put my detail mixture. And you know, these are my India ink mixtures, and they're only available at inkflingers.com, but I'll tell you something, it'll give you more control than anything out there. Not only that, it's great right out of the bottle, but I like tweaking it in the beginning. So I'm going to privy you to a little bit of information. So with my, ooh, look at that. With my detail mixture, I like mixing it 1-to-1 when I start, because it gives such a light application, right? Such a light application. And the amount of detail you get with my Extreme Patriot Arrow customized by myself and the detail mixture will kick the butt of anything out there. Anything. So you see, I always test before I go in. So that's very, very important, you know? And let's see. La la la. Okay. All right, so where do we start? In the beginning. So what I'm going to do is first I'm just going to start molding her face a little bit. So right over here I'm going to do the her bill here. Just now distance is so important, so I'm about 4 inches. Now if you want a gradation that is not all over the place, then you have to stay at whatever distance you are. It's when you vary distances, then you vary intensity. When you vary intensity, what do you get? Blotchiness. So that's why you want to make sure that you don't get blotchiness, okay? That's very important. Nice gradation. And you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, a week, or a month. So what we want to do is we want to gradually get those values, right? There's no rush here. Who's in a rush? Not me. I just want to make a beautiful painting. I want to make a beautiful painting of my friend Raquel here. So if I want to do that, then I won't be in a rush. Oh, so Clutch says that he finds, Patrick says he finds painting vertically, uh, up and down, uncomfortable. It's fine to work on. Yeah, no, I do. I'm a horizontal painter. I also paint vertically. That's how I was trained and how I painted for many years. But since I started doing live streams and I needed that camera overhead, that's when I started. So probably around 2016, I started painting vertically, horizontally, and you get used to it. And some people will say, well, what about the perspective? You know, if I was 6 feet away from my painting and I'm painting like that, then you're going to see a perspective. But if I'm here, you know, we have stereoscopic vision, so we definitely can understand the differences. It's not going to make a big difference. So anyone gives you that argument, no, that's a ridiculous argument. So whatever is comfortable for you is comfortable for you, and that's what's important. And you know, that's how we started. We started, you know, working horizontally, didn't we? So right here I'm going to just start establishing some of the large tonal shapes. I'm not even thinking about eyes yet or noses. And the great thing is I have pure ref and I'm able to blow up my reference, which is amazing. Very sketchy. And my guest says he has Irish coffee. Very cool. Oh, I love Irish coffee. I remember there was this one snowstorm when I was a kid, and my brother Chris made Irish coffee. It was the best stuff ever. I never had a cup of coffee as good as that day. It was just the perfect. And being Irish, there was always Irish coffee around. So my guess is, Tim, do you prefer to paint with your image lying flat? You know, I'm kind of a 50-50. When I'm working small, I kind of like it because then I could put my work on the screen with my camera and I could see it. So it's enables me to see the reference a little better. So I think for things getting a lot more accurate, I think working horizontal with the camera on your computer really is a nice combination, Mike. And we're just going to continue slowly but surely. Go. And let's see. Oh, so Steve is comfortable at an angle. Oh, I see. And Patrick says, you think I need to move to an upright angle? Not at all, sir. I mean, it's really no difference. Honestly, it's no difference. That's dogma that you don't want to let get into your thinking, right? You know, this is the best way. The best way is the most comfortable for you. And hey, you're the one, right? We're the ones spending the time on the easel. We should be able to do it the way we want. You know, reminds me of the Jeff Healey band, right? Remember Jeff Healey? He played the guitar. He was blind, and he played the guitar in his lap. And that was not the typical way to do guitar, but that's how he felt comfortable, and I think that's cool, right? I think that's the best way. And let's see. My guess is always afraid to spill paint from the brush. When painting flat, here's the thing. My guess, great comment. So that's why you don't see any side feeds around here, right? This is a non-side feed studio. Reason being is when you're working flat, it's going to happen. You're going to be painting and you're going to hit something, or it's just going to pop out and the cup's going to fall and destroy one of your pieces. So, and I had that happen to me. So it was either stop painting horizontally or get rid of the side feed. So honestly, if I really think about it, unless I'm working upside down, I don't really see the advantage of a side feed. Not having a side feed was not a loss. It was actually after that I was like, why was I using a side feed? What could have happened, you know? And oh, so horizontal one started taking my classes. Hey Marshall, how you doing? Marshall likes painting at an angle. Hey, that's cool, you know, whatever makes your work the best, right, Steve? That's the thing, you know? That's important. Whatever gets you where you gotta be. And I'm the kind of guy, if someone says you can't paint that way, and I'll be like, yeah, let's see. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to put in, I had this cut a little while ago, so we're just going to remove this for un segundo. So you see what we have so far. Da da da. All right, so over here I have this, and let's see if we can put that in here for you guys. And look at that little doodad, whatever that is. Get out of there. Okay. Static electricity is not fun. All right, so let's move this over here. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these magnets. So I learned the beauty of magnets from Mr. Steve Leahy on his live streams. And his live stream is on Mondays, not Tuesdays, not Fridays. Steve Leahy's live streams are on Mondays at 6 o'clock, and that's where I really got into magnets and has been such a really great addition. Why do I tell you? Go to his live streams, and I'm feeling like something like that will happen for your work. So big endorsement for Mr. Steve Leahy, Facebook, 6 o'clock, Mondays. Usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours, Steve, more or less, right? Patty, have a great night. It's always great to see you. Don't work so hard tomorrow, okay? So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to spray in her beautiful eyes. Just to get them established, you know? Just so I could. And then, you're here already, Tim. Why don't you paint the hat? Okay, I will. And so let's go ahead and do that and paint the hat. And oh, Jesus says you can do both horizontal and vertical. Very cool. All right. So how many inches am I away? I'm about 7 feet. No, not exactly. Let me see. So I'm about four inches away. Now what you want to do is you want to put your magnets close to the edge. Reason being is you don't want underspray. You always hear about overspray, but you don't hear about underspray. Why is that, Steve? Why don't everyone talk about underspray? It's like the, you know, it's a really big problem. There should be like an after-school special for underspray. Oh, the hat's getting in the camera. You mean like this? Oh man, sorry about that, my friend. But thanks for that, and I appreciate it. So, gotta have the hat though, guys, because without the hat, you know, it's part of the branding, they say, right? But I'll be a lot more careful. Thanks, Jesus. You're the best. And let's see. So I'm not painting the hat and the eyes per se. All I'm doing is just laying in the groundwork, right? Setting anchor points. That's going to help me, you know, with the placement. And remember, Rome wasn't built when? In a day. It was built in approximately 4 to 5 weeks. No, about 6 or 7 live streams. Yeah. Yes, Patrick. Schoolhouse Rock. Exactly. Saturday morning cartoons. That's right. Uh, let's see. Very cool. Yeah. Now I know what a bill is, and you know why it's sitting at Capitol Hill. You know, and conjunction function. You know, I still don't know what conjunctions are, but that was a really great song. School of Underspraying by Leahy. Oh my goodness. Oh, right. So Steve's saying Schoolhouse Rock song. Oh my God, that's too funny, Mr. Leahy. Uh, King me. Feels like I'm playing checkers. All right. Let's see the damage. Kapow. Okay. Looks interesting. We are still in the throes, in the thick of it. And so I want to keep the, but you see we have the hat established, and I think that's nice. Lots of static electricity going on around here. Well, it is a lightning storm going on, so I'm sure that increases static electricity. Okay, now her mouth is something I'm not going to be worried about because that's going to be, you know, it's a very complicated spot, so I'm going to take my time with that, you know, with her teeth and everything. But now my goal is to just paint the large shapes and do it super lightly. And we will be getting rid of pencil lines pretty soon. Distance is really giving me these soft transitions. Now, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you do not, and I do repeat, do not oversaturate the paper. You can come back and make it darker, but if you oversaturate the paper and you continue, and then if you even compound that by even erasing it, then you just pretty much destroyed your surface. So it's really super important to make sure that you are, above all, going slow. Now, I'm not just indiscriminately copying value, and that would be fine, but I'm actually thinking of her as a three-dimensional form, and you know, she has lots of three-dimensional form. Her nose, her mouth, her lips, her teeth, her eyes, her hat, her hair. So I'm thinking of all those terms, which is very important. Tone, how you doing, my friend? How's it going? How you feeling? I know you weren't feeling well, sir. Wow, that coffee tastes really good today. I don't know why. And so we have this beautiful line here. So remember, if you want to get something, always do. Am I still getting the hat in the way? You know what we can do. Don't try this at home. Let's see. I am going to take this and I'm going to push it back. Look at that. So now when I'm going forward, you just see the shadow of, oh, there it is. But still, it's further away, right? So that's cool. Well, it's in the very early going, and so no worries. So when we begin a painting, we never think of it, you know, like when you're making cookies, you don't taste them. But you do have those times when you're getting the eggs and the flour and all that stuff. So you want to take your time. And I don't think of a likeness until the very end. Right now it's all about light. Now I'm going to be using the eraser soon. Remember, this is a no underspray zone, right? So get those magnets close to the edge. Now, who can tell me why I don't just start erasing pencil lines now? Like, why don't I just spray and just spray and go to town getting rid of these pencil lines? What would be the reasoning behind it? But notice that I'm not oversaturating any spots. Everything is very, very light, and then I move away and then I come back. Another reason why I'm working light, because if there's a need, any kind of erasing or anything, it's a lot easier to do when the painting is done very lightly. Now, why am I going so far ahead with the portrait aspect? Because that's the star of the painting, is her. So I am going to make sure that I'm going to have this always a couple of steps ahead of everything else in my painting. Just going to establish the upper lip, just blocking it in. And making sure that immediately I lower this contrast up here, because the contrast is too high. I do have my pencil here, and I'm going to use it. Remember, you're much more adept or skilled at your pencil, so why do like really tight calculating moves in the beginning with your with your airbrush? I just don't understand. There's no points for doing your whole painting in airbrush. If there is, I don't care about those points. I just care about how the painting looks. Of course, you have your own, aesthetic criteria in what you will do or won't do, but as far as speed, I don't know anyone who cares about it. Where's my mono eraser? Here we go. Let's see what I'm missing here. Hey, Nameless, how you doing? No, this is a friend of mine, so this isn't a famous person. This is someone I did a photo shoot last month. So this photo is by yours truly. In my studio. And I'm going to start, getting rid of some of these pencil lines now. But think of pencil lines like what? They're like training wheels, right? You don't get rid of them too early, otherwise your kid's going to crash into a tree. So make sure that you keep those pencil lines for as long as you need them. Otherwise your kid's going to crash into a tree with their bike and the training wheels at 2 miles an hour. They won't get hurt, but it'll hurt their ego. So keep those training wheels on them. Boy, it's really coming down. Good thing did I put my car in the garage? I really hope I did. Oh, I don't even think I went out today. Nope, I didn't go out today. Ah, yes, that's right, Patrick. Raquel's famous now. So I went to high school with Raquel. I have to make sure I don't get too detailed. That's my caveat. Too detailed too early is like going too dark too early. That would be just too bad. Notice I increase my distance as I go. Okay, now we can do a little erasing here. And we'll just start some little tiny erasing here. And so I'm going to just make sure I put in our eyebrows here. Now, they're not eyebrows per se, they're in shadow So we have the hint of them, but most of it is obscured. Most of them are obscured. And the edges are kind of blurred out. Bring in this over here. So now we're sculpting away the white, right? And sort of putting in the mid-tones, so to speak. So we're looking at her face, and you could see how we have the light side, which is the key light that I used. It's on the left of her. So the left side of her face, on the left side of her nose, you can see, which camera left, that everything is much lighter here. Everything here is much darker. So we have to definitely account for the law of light and the inverse square law to realize that this side of her face is darker. Everything on this side of the face is darker. Everything. So all the values that you see here are going to be darker on this side of the face. Okay. So now we're going to use my mono eraser because it's really very soft, and I'm just going to start getting rid of some of these pencil lines I no longer need. And I'm being very, very gentle. And also while I'm here, I could go ahead and establish some of the lights here. As you can see, I can establish that and get rid of some of these shapes here. Well, keep the shapes, but get rid of those pencil lines. But as I'm erasing, notice I'm still doing the 1 second rule. You don't want to erase something you still need. Doing the 1 second rule is going to keep that your head in the game, right? You know, you have to keep your head in the game. If you don't, you're sunk. And I don't want you to be sunk. Okay, so let's zoom in on her nose a little bit. Let's see. Okay. So while we're here, perhaps we could get rid of some of those pencil lines. Notice I'm pumping that trigger, right? Big shapes right now, no little shapes. Very important to keep that going, that you're only working on big shapes right now. And in the beginning, when you first put down a value, it's going to seem very, very dark. And that's only because everything else is very, very light at this point. Stick with that program, guys. It gets much lighter over here. And then right here, I increase my distance as it gets lighter on this side. See that? And how do I achieve that? Is distance. Okay, so we zoom out. We can see she's starting to come together a little bit. Now, always want to use your pencil when you're doing like really high calculating work, like right here, trying to get where this eyelid, the under part of her eyelid is coming in. Do I want to go ahead and do that with the airbrush? Sure, I think I could do it, but bad, because I can do it much better and much easier with my pencil. Hey David, how you doing? Good to see you, David Fiore. So glad you're here. Let's see who else came in here. Uh, let's see. Anyone else that I miss coming in? Oh, that's it. Okay. So let me get the hair out of my eyes. Okay, yeah. So that kind of itches. I have a fan over to my right, and it's kind of blowing my hair into my eyes. So as you can see, she's slowly coming together, but you know, I'm not in a rush. I am definitely not in a rush. Hear that thunder, everybody? That's pretty scary. Okay, so let's lift up this here, and let's bring this over here. There we go. So you can see where we are right now. Like I said, I'm going to do the teeth later because I'm looking forward to it. Doing her teeth. And, oh, I guess now we could start some erasing here very lightly. More pencil work. Angles. Make sure you have your angles down. Very important. Notice how I'm working on big shapes. That's how the old masters paint. They paint with big shapes first and then work on the smaller shapes as they go. That's definitely the way that we should work. Now I'm going to get rid of the pencil lines, but I don't want to lose my drawing. So you see right here, as I get rid of that pencil line, I'm going to quickly, as I remember where that pencil line was, I'm going to very quickly hit that. So this way, when I erase it fully, I'm not like, oh, I wish I had that pencil line there, but my life was so much easier. No, you don't want that to happen. Now, can I get rid of the pencil line, you ask? Let's see. So I'm saying all that to say this: don't lose your drawing. You lose your drawing, you lose the battle. So you work so hard to get that drawing there, don't lose it. It's still wet, so it's going to be in the back of my mind, right? So I don't want to erase on wet paper, because it will destroy the paper, and then you're going to be fighting that paper the whole time. So work with the paper, not against it. Know your materials. It's super important to know your materials. Although you do see this area in here, um, the contrast is really low. So you see when I decrease the contrast, she starts looking better. Contrast is another consideration, right? Now it's dry enough. So let's go with our mono, and let's start getting rid of these harsh shadows, this harsh pencil line here. See if I can bring in this light here. See, right now I'm getting a sense of the lighting, what the light is doing, how it's reacting. So right in here, we worked very hard to get the light that's in the under part of her upper eyelid, but you can see how the white of the eyes, I made that value very, very white, and that value is very close to the dark of her iris. As you see, we get rid of those pencil lines in time, and we're able to soften things up here. And I'll just do some of the shadow on her jaw here. And let's work on the dark in the corner of her mouth here. There we go. And let's see if we could just come over here and just establish the hair. Right over here. Go. And I have this freehand shield. Why not? I'm not thinking about lightness. I'm thinking about large shapes. Thinking about what the light is doing. What the light did that day I took a photo of her. So right now you can see I established this edge, and what that does is enables me to kind of work on this kicker light right here, which is a light I had off to the side here. So let's see. Tim, do you always remove the pencil lines? Yeah, I basically try and get rid of any pencil lines. Angra, everyone knows John Augusta Dominique Angra is my favorite painter, my sort of old master mentor. And he said that you should only see the art and not the facility, meaning that you shouldn't see brushstrokes and pencil lines and stuff like that. So, do I sometimes leave them in? Sure, but is my philosophy to get rid of them? Most of the time, yes. Um, so we established the hair. Let's go ahead and establish that nice dark of the hair on the other side, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we have this beautiful dark right here. And you can see that, you know, a lot of it has to do with putting things in place. In the very beginning of a painting, when you're first putting value or color onto your surface, it's going to fight you. So it's not going to be easy. So it's going to look scary and stuff like that. And that's when you have to stick to your convictions, and you're going to do this. You're going to get this done, and you're not going to worry about what it looks like, right? You're in it for the long haul. Remember, I'm not going to taste a cookie until after I finish the recipe. And the thing is, I have a recipe. I've been painting not only been painting in airbrush for 11 years. I've been painting in airbrush. But I've been painting in other mediums since I was 15. And studying formally since I was 15. Studying on my own since I was like 13. See how this sort of just brings everything together. Oh, thanks, Blue. Blue says it's looking good. I appreciate that. And thank you there, Patrick. Thank you so much. And, you know, it's very interesting, like the first couple of moments of a painting. You really have to let it develop. And because those are the crucial moments, right? And you have to let it cook, you know, you really do. And let's continue with her ear here. Let's see. Now with this, I love this shield. This is the pin-up shield. And you can always find any angle. You just gotta keep twisting it around until you find it. There we go. So you see, I do use a lot of shields and stencils, you know, that I make myself, but I'm not married to them, right? So I just use whatever technique feels right at the moment. Remember, when you're using a freehand shield, perpendicular and not parallel, right? Because if I go parallel, two things that could happen. One, I can overshoot and I can have a dark going inside her ear, and that's just something that I have to fix. Two, I'm going to have a dark line right along the edge. So when you have a freehand shield, when you go like this and you go perpendicular and not parallel, you're creating an even tone. There's no line, right? So that's the reason. But once you have that line established, then you can pretty much come out like this. Same thing here. Now I do have something here which I think is cool. Let's see, do I have it? I think I had it and I didn't cut it. Let's see. Okay, that's for another time. So I don't have what I need for her hair. So I'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm gonna earn it. Alright, so let's continue just sculpting her hair, right? We're sculpting her hair. Feels very much like a pencil drawing, doesn't it? And that's the way your airbrush painting should be in the beginning. You should be sketching and softly getting to where you're going. And as you see, I'm slowly darkening the shadow underneath her, the bill of her hat there. And that's starting to, you know, start getting to her elegance. What I can do is put back on the positive of the face, and this way I could work on her neck. So I think that would be good. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm able to kind of work on her neck, you know, and not worry about messing up that beautiful edge of her jaw. Put those magnets close to the edge, and this way we don't have underspray. Oh, we have a nice little cast shadow right here under the hair. And it's beautiful shadow coming down her shoulder. So it starts out at a certain value, and then as it gets darker, I just increase the distance of my airbrush from the paper. Always make sure that you clean your freehand shield in between sprays, because ink or paint, whatever you're working on, is going to collect on that, and it may still be wet and you will be redirecting it, and that would not be good. Notice I'm spraying away from the shield, and spraying away from the shield is also going to decrease the advent of underspray. Underspray is not our friend. And so her skin is slightly darker in her chest and her neck than the her dress, or her shirt, actually, her blouse. I'm creating this nice edge here. And let's continue just doing the large shapes. Remember, we paint the helmet, then the hair, right? The helmet, then the hair. Let me see what I missed. Mike DeLoach, how you doing? Good to see you, sir. Ah, Mr. Todd, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate the super chat, the super sticker. I really appreciate that. That is so cool. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for being a Patreon. I really appreciate that, sir. Your support is very needed and very much appreciated. Thank you, sir. We'll just bring this down. There we go. So what was their question? What's the material? Oh, that is acetate, my friend, Mr. Tone. So that is acetate, not mylar. I did use mylar at one point, but now I'm going with acetate. It's cheaper, it cuts easier. If I'm not mistaken, acetate is more of an organic item than mylar, if I'm not mistaken. But I may be. But that's not my, the environment is definitely not my motivation for it. So there you go, right? So she's starting to come together, right? You can see there is something, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, you know, getting everything together. And so it's all about the large shapes right now. It's not about the small shapes. So here you can see I have an edge between the hair and the hat on the right side, camera right, correct? So what I'm going to do is I am going to definitely get rid of this edge here and kind of bring this into one shape. And I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to make sure that I get this shape here correct. Remember, you want to have an aesthetic criteria in the sense that if something needs to be corrected, you want to be the one telling you, right? You don't want someone else telling you after the painting's done. So be a little hard on yourself in the sense of not beating yourself up. That's not what I mean, but make sure that you are really scrutinizing your work and making sure you check and see what needs correcting. Now we're still with that really diluted detail mixture, right? Now you're going to see her start to soften. And there's a time for precision and there's a time for sketching with the airbrush. And it's knowing when to do when to do what. Big shapes, guys. Not worried about small shapes, not worrying about whether it looks like her right now. All I'm worried about is the large light patterns. What's the light doing? How is it reacting to her, right? You know, how was it reacting to her as the light was hitting her? Now, this is 3-point lighting, which I had a key light, or the main most powerful light, to the left. To the right, I had a light that was half as powerful as the key light, and it was lighting up the side of her face, kind of giving this real beautiful highlight along her hair on the side, giving this really beautiful, real beautiful contrast. And so Mike says mill is 1,000, so thin, so that's thin at 4 or 5. Oh, someone has another. Oh, so it is 5 mil. 5 mil, yes. So very astute there, guys. So yes. You don't want it too thin. You don't want it too thick. So like Goldilocks, 5. 4 is okay. That's pushing it. Again, you see I'm going to start moving around, right? Remember, distance. Don't learn the most beautiful dagger stroke in the world. Don't be messing with your air compressor and all that. 25 psi, set it and forget it. Use your pack valve. Get my Extreme Patriot arrow and use this pack valve to get the sweet spot. But if you want to have control, you're going to have to do distances. You're going to have to learn distance. That's, if you look at anyone who knows what they're doing, you can see that they're varying their distance. And that's where the control is. That's what the masters are doing. That's what Steve Leahy does when he's airbrushing. You can see he's varying his distances, and that's the key. So let's see, we have a question. Oh, Jesus got it? Yes, definitely. Mike Loach says, a cautionary heads up. If anyone picks up a clearance Frisket sheet from Hobby Lobby, I think they're old because the adhesive. Oh, man, that's good tip there, Mike. I appreciate that. And Patrick says, I wish I had 2 more arms so I can give him a thumbs up. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And thank you for the thumbs up on the on everything. So that's so cool. And so good tip there, Mike Deloach. And don't watch what I do, don't know what I'm doing. You know, it's all just practice, you know, just practice, have fun, and play with your distances. Know your distances. That's going to be it's going to go a long way for you to get that kind of detail you dream about. It's not me, it's physics, right? It's the nature of the airbrush. Um, that's where the secret is in the distance. See, now her hat's starting to get get sketched in. It's really beautiful. So now I'm working on the large dark areas, and I can even start to feel uh, Raquel, feel her energy, which is really nice and so important. Again, so one of the things is that on the shadow side, which I hate the word shadow side, but on the side that's darker, we got to kill that vernacular because it's just wrong. But on the darker side where the light is not as strong, we have to make sure that the value differential are much closer to one another. So here you see we have a number 1 and we have a number 8, right, in the value scale. Here we may have a number 8, a number 7, and number 6, but nowhere is there a number 1 because we're working with this light source. However, okay, so you're saying, well, what about this light source, Tim? That looks like a number 1. Yes, but that's a different light source. So, so that's a whole different ball game. But you definitely want to stick with the rules of light and dark. Excuse me. And everything looks like I'm going dark, but this is really light, super light. We didn't work on her mouth and we didn't work on her dress. Oh, hey, how you doing, Rodio Doctor? I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. That's really nice. It's good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for that wonderful bit of encouragement. I really appreciate it. We all need encouragement, right? Let me make sure I'm in focus. So what I do with the DSLR is I'll zoom all the way in, and then what I can do is get my focus right tack sharp, and then when I zoom back out I know that I keep hitting the button. Okay, so now I'm sneaking in some texture in that hat of hers. And pumping that trigger, right? And getting that texture. Now, when you're at this stage and you're erasing, always keep in mind, I just worked in this area, so I'm not going to erase there because it's going to tear into the paper. So always be mindful, keep your head in the game. And now you can see I'm going to get rid of a lot more of these pencil lines. And then she's just going to soften up, right? And that's exciting. We have this beautiful cast shadow of her ear. Cast shadow I'm okay with. That's a shadow being cast by an object that's in front of the light, blocking the light. See that little cast shadow right there? There we go. So we got pretty far today. And so let's see here. Let's see. Oh, okay. So Mr. Mike is switching to Create Text. That's cool. Oh, Jesus says he wishes Create Text Spray as good as Tim saying. Thank you, my friend. No, they will never. That's something, Tone, I know I have Create Text. And so here's the thing. So my inks, and not just my inks in particular, but something that's thinner compared to an acrylic. It all has to do with the molecules, right? If those molecules are bigger, that means you have to do a lot to get that viscosity to flow through that airbrush, right? And the more you do things to make the viscosity to flow through the airbrush, the more you're changing the properties of said paint or ink. Now the airbrush is made for inks, dyes, watercolor. That's basically what it's made of. So in recent times, acrylic sort of because of, you know, I imagine a lot has to do with murals, custom work, and T-shirts. The acrylic world has been known as the airbrush, but in reality, that's not what the airbrush was made. The airbrush was not made for acrylics. It was made for ink. So an acrylic is never going to get to the point where an ink, and not just my ink, but anyone's ink, it's never going to get to that point ever. And that's the thing. So, you know, and Steve Leahy, he does amazing things, and a lot of people do amazing things with the with Createx, and I'm not taking that away. But this stuff is good right out of the gate. You know, there's not much you have to do to it, and so when we go to the inherent properties of what makes an airbrush really work its best is always going to be your inks, your dyes, and I'll even go further, and they're poisonous, but the urethanes, you know, those are what is best for the airbrush. I'm not saying that, you know, you can't use and do amazing work like Mr. Leahy does and everyone here does, but yeah, it's just inherently it's better for it. Inherently, you know? And so, you know, it's very important to know why you make those decisions. So I was working with Createx and doing black and white, and it's a different look. It's a whole different look. If you see Mr. Leahy and how he does his work, it's amazing. But it is a different look than India ink, and it all depends on the temperament of the artist, and how much you want to uh, experiment and do those things. So it's it really comes down to preference. But as far as the airbrush, it likes ink a lot better than acrylic. And I love golden, but I know that golden can't do what this does in the sense of being as effortless. I mean, you see, I didn't have any tip dry all night. And we've been painting for 2 hours with not any tip dry. So that right there, guys, should tell you, okay, Tim's saying something. He has some basis of what he's saying, because there was no tip dry the whole evening, right? So that alone is why, especially if you're starting, if you're starting and you want control, right? Let me make my funny looking head bigger. So let's say you're starting, or maybe you're painting first and you just don't have control. Then what are you going to use? Are you going to use golden? Are you going to use Createx? Are you going to use one of the many different paints out there? If you're just learning out, you want to learn what the airbrush likes and the viscosity. Like I said, you don't have to buy my inks, but if you're using something thin like an India ink, or a watercolor or something like that, where it's super thin, then you're going to know exactly the air pressure and viscosity that the air pressure loves. So you do that, and then what? Then when you move on to, let's say, Createx, you're going to learn what it takes to make it spray through the airbrush. I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, everything's good except I get a lot of clogging, a lot of tip dry, and it's just not fun, is because they don't know what it takes to make that Createx, make that golden, make whatever airbrush paint to go through that airbrush perfectly. It's very important, Oh, Todd, have a great night, my friend. And oh, look, Mike used alcohol dyes. Yes, and so one thing I know you learned, Mike, by using those thin inks, or those dyes, exactly what makes that airbrush sing, right? And then you take that information, Mike, and then you go ahead and use it. But the thing is, you have to do a lot of cooking to know how to reduce an acrylic-based paint to go through the airbrush. And so that is, that's basically. So we are at 11:30, so that means we are at the end of the evening. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. It's been great. So this was part one. Not bad, right? We did okay. We basically just sketched her out, and little by little we're working on the big shapes. When we come back, we'll work on her beautiful teeth and her blouse and start bringing everything together. We're still in that reduced detail mixture, and thank you so much, Mr. Leahy. I appreciate that. And so that is really cool. So I hope you guys have a great evening, and I will see you Saturday night for the pastel live stream at 8 p.m. So take care, everybody. Always a pleasure.